What is going on, everybody? Voidlego here, back with a brand new episode of Higurashi When They Cry. Last time we're on, we went to speak with Oshi, and Oshi dropped the news on Shion that Satoshi has gone missing, and well, she didn't exactly take it well. After which, she has decided to start investigating into the Osho-sama murders and find out who's actually behind it. Is it the Sonozakis? Is it a third party? Maybe it's one of the other two families. Who knows? And at the end of last episode, she kind of confronted Mion, and well, she lots of high emotions going on. At the end of that episode, she almost choked Mion to death. So, which shows once again those violent tendencies of Shion. And before we go into this, this is our 50th part, which is insane. This is my, I think, second longest Let's Play right now. Yeah, because Gear Set's 54, and I think we're only on chapter 5. So, yeah, this series is going to surpass and become my longest one. But I want to thank all of you for all of the amazing support on each and every video, and for the people that put down comments down below that tell me about interesting little tidbits and what their thoughts on each of the characters are. Little details you don't see. It's how you pronounce certain Japanese words. It's so cool to see how much people have passion for this game, and I love to read those comments. So yeah, just thank you everyone for all the fantastic support on this series. So enough of that sentimental crap. Let's get right into it. Page 50. I saw Mio Takano a few times after that. At her core, she was fascinating with the bizarre, and she had an insatiable curiosity that was just as strong. I have to remind myself not to take her story too seriously. Otherwise, I might start believing that Satoshi-kun disappeared because of the curse. She talks about the dark history of Himizawa a lot. It's all very interesting. Her theories are based on nothing but conjecture, but some of her intuition covers facts that only members of the Sonozaki family would know. She thinks that Osho-sama's curse is the continuation of those ancient rituals. In other words, she believes that the curse is performed by religious fanatics. According to her theory, a religious cult once existed in Himizawa, and the three families stemmed from it. Oh. She believes that they are operating behind the scenes in order to revive the dignity of the Onikafuchi people, which was lost during the Meiji era. Mio-san's theories are far-reaching, and looking at them on a larger scale, they end up making a lot of sense. But they can't offer any explanation for Satoshi-kun's disappearance when using them on a smaller one. Her theories are just too broad. Interesting. Okay, so... Alright, so Takano believes there's an, ancient cult that's trying to pretty much revive Onikafuchi village into its former glory. And I guess that would make sense with the whole, string of murderers, first at foremen, then supporters of the dam, then the relatives of the dam, and yeah, that would make sense. Page 64. I exchange information with Oshi every now and then. We each expect new leads from each other, but neither of us had any luck. I no longer believe the tip that Satoshi-kun might have headed to Tokyo. It was clearly bogus anyway. Although I can't defend Oshi, he's been far fair about the deal. He alone has been serious about uncovering any new information. Oshi's sources are quite reliable, so whenever I found some dubious tip, I checked with him to see if it was valid. My meetings with him have diminished in frequency since he's been assigned to new cases. Eventually, we stopped meeting entirely. Oshi stopped investigating, and I reached the limits of my sources of information. People now think that Satoshi-kun's disappearance was a supernatural phenomenon called demon in a way. In Himazawa, they refer to his disappearance as him having transferred, and nobody would talk about it otherwise. I don't like the way that phrase is used to erase him. 85. During the upheaval surrounding Osho-Osama's curse in 1982, I was pulled this way and that by new leads onto Satoshi-kun's disappearance. Every time I found information that looked promising, I kept changing my theories. But that also became an incredible burden on me. It wore me down plenty on its own. The fatigue was harsh, but it also provided very kind acceptance. Bit by bit, it soothed away the anger, sadness, and doubt that wore me down. I'll never forget Satoshi-kun. I'll never try to forget him and move on. I constantly repeated those to myself in my head. I repeated them to keep my memory of Satoshi-kun from fading too, over and over. For the sake of my fun memories of Satoshi-kun, together with my fear and my sadness, I repeated them forever and ever. Yeah, it's kind of hard to hold out hope with basically no leads at all with Satoshi. And I mean, still, we really don't have like any definitive proof on where Satoshi went. It's all just conjecture. So, let us continue. Would wear anybody down.
淡くて儚いシャボン玉のような恋心。空を望めばやがて壊れて消えるように少女の思いは虚しく叶わなかった。流した涙は血の色となって生贄を求め、口をついた悲しみは怒りとなって殺意を生み出してゆく。純粋すぎる黒はすべてを飲み込んで闇を広げる。やがては自分自身さえも。目明かし。
Oh.
生まれてこなければよかったのか。血みどろの手は虚空すらつかめなかった。
Okay, so you're a waiter. Uzawa is on Osho-Osama's curse, 1 year after Satoshi Hojo's disappearance. So I wonder if we're actually going to meet Keiichi. I hadn't been able to get used to my new school in Okayama, but I had some friends there now. Since I got a part-time job in my relative's store, I had some extra pocket money too. I ended up living with my parents after all, so I didn't have to pay for living expenses. It felt great to get to freely spend the money I earned from working. I still used to room casa I set up for me from time to time. It was a convenient hideout for when I didn't want to see my parents. In fact, I was planning to spend the day there today.
ちくしょう、先行め。サボリのことを家に連絡しやがって。
My dad got upset, and that was why he didn't want to stay at home. I had been asking for it, though. My teacher should know that my dad is a Yakuza, and that he gets really scary when he's mad. The whole of my life had been going well so far, except that it was boring. The reason I could enjoy this lifestyle is probably because I had to live in secret before. It's a great relief to be able to live without having to fake my identity. Well, that might have been a valuable experience. I think I learned from it. I was going grocery shopping and thought I'd get enough food for a week or so. My parents would appreciate my presence more after missing me for a week. I was doing this for their sakes.
あれ？今日って確か100円セールのお店ってなかったっけ？そうだそうだ、間違いない。
I knew how to save my pocket money. I was in a good mood, spun around with my arms spread out. Felt like I was inside a little whirlwind. My arm hit a motorcycle parked on the sidewalk. Obviously, it wasn't where it was supposed to be. It's the same goddamn delinquents.
何こんなとこに止めてるの誰
Give the motorcycle a kick with no hesitation. They were free motorcycles lined up in a row. Gee, I wonder where I've seen this before. And there it goes. They all felt like dominoes. It was beautiful. So much fun. Oh? This was odd. Felt like I'd gone through the exact same experience before. While blinking my eyes in an effort to recall what that was, some people grabbed me by the neck and dragged me into a dark alley. Looked like these punks were the owners of those motorcycles. They started shouting at me. This really was strange. I was having deja vu. Same guys. That's right. It was when I met Satoshi-kun for the first time. He came to save me. If I pretended to cry again now, would he come to save me again? I made a wish, and I started pretending to cry and beg for mercy. At that time, I doubted my ears.
いい加減にしやがれ。
Oh shit.
もう泣いてるじゃねえかよ。
It was a boy about my age. Couldn't quite see his face because of the light illuminating him from behind.
サトシくん
Of course it couldn't be him. Couldn't be. There he is! There's the boy! There's the boy! When I snapped out of my daydream, I realized I wasn't Satoshi-kun after all. He looked less gracious than Satoshi-kun, so to speak. Satoshi-kun was pristine and untouched, and this guy would have scratches all over him. Although they were completely different, I got a similar impression from him somehow.
じゃおらいいとこ見たっつんかよらうっと痛い目見せなっさんとか言ってみえシャラスかったんぞあ
The boy looked a bit taken aback.
いや、もう泣いてるんだから、それくらいで勘弁してあげてもいいんじゃないかな、なんて。
あんなことを命にされとんじゃおらか
うわー！タマ暴力は良くないぜ。
What was up with this guy? Felt ashamed that I mistook him for Satoshi-kun even for a second. He seemed cool at first, but he wasn't as cool as Satoshi-kun after all.
いや、だからバイクが倒れたのはお気の毒と思いますよ。でもですね、どうか機嫌を直されてですね。どうしたら機嫌を直してくださるんですかね。いや、もちろん私たちはお金なんか持ってないんですがね。
おおそうじゃの金がのうならっしゃ体で払ってもおっかないっちゃなこんなよう見ると結構イケてるもんなどうじゃこの後
Hey, are you kidding me? Tied my grip on the stun gun in my pocket. Then I turned it up to maximum intensity. Don't hold a grudge against me if you die, pervs.
おお俺んさ一度かいこちゃんはべらせて街のべりたくてさ
About to get a shock for his wife.
もっと着飾ってスカートもミニで興奮さ
They indulge in their imaginations, which arouse their spirits. Hey now, why are you perverts closing in on me? Gross hands are groping the air. Gonna try and violate me?
タイトミニもええのミニはっしゃ上から下まで全部色っぽくしゃよ肌色の面積を限りなく広げて萌え萌えの姿にしちゃるけ
あんたら冗談でしょその汚い手で私に触れるな
Then a flash of light cut through the air. Is that the boy? Blows like thunderbolts knocked the punks down. Wow, so he was actually strong after all?
なあ見てごまされたいんか。
お前らは分かっていない。分かっていない。
何がじゃ。
タイトミニには萌えがない。そして肌色面積は控えめに。
Thanks, Keiichi.
たとえお天道様が西から登ることがあろうとも、絶対絶対これは萌え業界の鉄則だ。いいかよく聞け、ど素人ども。ホモ・サピエンスと動物の違いは何か。そう、衣服の着用だ。つまり人は肌以外の衣服の彩りがあって初めて人なのだ。つまり肌色を求めすぎる貴様らは人以下、動物と同じだ。貴様ら全員を強制する。歯を食いしばれ。先ほどタイトミニを引き合いに出したな。例えばここに美少女と呼ぶにふさわしい女の子がいたとする。美少女と一言に言ってもその裾野は広すぎる。それについて貴様らに抗議することは、寿司山芸者から入った外国人に侍の美学を一から説明するより困難この上極まりない。
Well, Keiichi is saving Mion in most catchy way possible.
だからここでは最も普及していると思われる制服系で説明することとする。制服系の御三家といえば何か答えてみろ。そうだな、制服、体操服、スクール水着だろう。なおセーラーかブレザーかの好みの違いは制服にカテゴライズするものとする。もちろんブルワーかスパッツかの違いも同様。スクミズも紺か白かの違いはあれどカテゴリーは同じ扱いだ。どうだ、これだけでも甘美な響きがするであろう。ではお前ら3人がこれらのうちの一つずつが好みであったと仮定しよう。
Just keeps on going, don't it?
おい不良 A、 お前は制服だ。不良 B、 お前は体操服。そして不良 C はスクミズだ。頭に思い描け。時間は3秒。描けたか。妄想くらい自在にできろ。気合が足りん、やり直せ。ではお前らの望む美少女がここにいてその衣装を着ているぞ。あると思え、あると信じろ。気合を入れろ。返事はオスかさあイエスサーだ。バカ者、それでも軍人か。よーし描けたようだな。次に進むぞ。それらの萌え衣装と貴様らの馬鹿げた欲情に従いお色気ムンムンなタイトミニスカート姿を見比べてみろ。
This is killing me.
最近まだ萌えと色気の違いのわからん未熟者が増えているが実に嘆かわしい。
Humans without crows aren't civilized, they're animals.
本能でしか女性の魅力を語れない貴様らは犬、猿、キジだ。きびだんごでももらって鬼ヶ島へでもうせろ。 Get back here!
Oh, whoa.
ちなみに最近の東西雪解けに従い萌えもいろいろな類が大量に上陸しているだ。
Was I never learned about that after effect of the after the end of Soviet Russia.
そんなことも知らんのか愚か者は。制 制服系と金髪を掛け合わせてアニメ系などという酸素と水素が掛け合わされて能登半島可愛いよ大爆発なんて組み合わせが出ているようだが、本館は断じて認めたりはしないぞ。制服は日本の文化だ、芸術だ。和洋折衷はこの世界には存在しない。貴様ら聞いているのか、なんじゃこスルメどもが。歯を食いしばれ、今日は徹底的にしごく。
This is gonna kill me.
貴様らが真の萌え文化を理解できるまで今日は寝られないと思え。はい、指導指導指導。
Woo, boy, give me a second. Ooh, I gotta, I gotta settle down after that. Ooh. Woo. Only this game, man. Only this fucking game could give me to fucking cry and burst out into fucking laughter. Jesus, okay. God, I need a minute after that. Oh, jeez. At that point, I heard a bustle of people running this way.
前原さん、みんな呼んできました。
I saw several kids running towards us. Seemed like our backup had arrived.
くそ、やばいぞ、繋がれ。
Three punks had just been standing there agape, but they started running away when they saw that many people.
さすが前原さんですね。たった一人であんな怖そうな3人組を釘付けにしちゃうなんて。3人の一人鼻血出してましたね。前原さん、喧嘩も強いなんてすごいです。尊敬します。
Oh, Keiichi, your prowess to fucking make other people horny.
俺の固有結界もますます磨きがかかったようだな。今に監督の固有結界メイドインヘブンに太刀打ちできるくらいに磨きをかけてやるぜ。そんなことはいいや。
You gotta be shitting me, man. Of course, got hit us with that fucking JoJo reference, huh? Fucking me, fucking motherfuckers made in heaven. God damn it. God. The boy was apparently called Marabawa. He turned around to face me. Even the way he mistook me for Mion sounded like Satoshi-kun. But Satoshi-kun isn't a pervert like him.
天下御免のミオンがどんな情け容赦のない必殺技で撃退してみせるか。まあそのさすがに男が3人がかりじゃきつかったってことか。そんなわけないよな。
I was still confused. I couldn't yet grasp the situation. Who was this guy? Miyana's friends like him? I'm still spacing out in shock, so I forgot to move until his hand touched my head.
まあそのなんだ、半べそ書いてたのは見なかったことにするからさ。そのまあ元気出せよな。
Wub. The boy called Marabawa stroked my head roughly. Didn't feel good. It hurt actually. But still, his hand had the same warmth. Later on, Mion told me about him. He was called Keiichi Marabawa. Kei-chan for short. He's one grade below us. Not only that, but he just moved to Himizawa. Thanks to his attitude and lack of manners, he'd already become an idol in their class. Mion joyously explained all this. Sure, he sounded like a fun kid. Knew why Mion was into him, but Satoshi-kun is way cooler. Wasn't worth stealing from Sis, or was he? Merritt throbbed. I was excited. Felt like I just got a new toy. I was curious as to what kind of relationship Mion intended to build with him. I just love to tease her about it.
ありがとうケイちゃん。よかったらお礼にお茶でもおごるよ。すぐ近くにおじさんの店があるし、どう？
Satoshi-kun would refuse out of modesty. But Keiichi Marubara said okay within 2 seconds. Well then, couldn't wait to tease the two of them. My boring wife suddenly became bright again.
おい、腕なんかにしがみつくなよ。
あれこういうの嫌いですか？
いや、その嫌いじゃないけど、その胸が当たって、その
胸が当たって何ですって？
Keiichi Marubara was fun. Mion thought the same way I did. She would always talk about him. I was happy for her. Made me smile.
お姉はケイちゃんのこと本当に気に入ってますね。ズバリケイちゃんの魅力を一言で示すと何です？そうだね。もしも一言でしか言っちゃいけないならやっぱり面白いとこかな。そうそう、この間の部活の時にさ。
Mion really liked him, but didn't seem to think it was love yet. She's reserved in that area, so that was really like her. As for me, well, I didn't hate him, but my feelings weren't the same as Mion's. Kei-chan was just too childish compared to Satoshi-kun. I wondered how Satoshi-kun was doing. Was he waiting for things to cool down somewhere far away? The case had already been solved, though. That dopehead was a murderer. There was no reason for him to wait anymore. I shook my head. I shouldn't think about it too much. Oh wait, I know. The case was confidential, so the arrest of the culprit hadn't been made public. So Satoshi-kun hadn't realized that he could come back. I know he's a little thick-headed. Maybe he'd been waiting for things to calm down until the end of time. But if so, couldn't he give a call to Sadako at least? Should tell her he's living in a faraway place, but that'd be coming home soon. That stupid Sadako. She'd been living with Rika for Uday since Satoshi-kun went away. So nobody would pick up the phone even if he called. Stupid girl. Don't you want your big brother to come home? Given Satoshi-kun's personality, he wouldn't remember any phone numbers other than his home number. So he wouldn't be able to contact anybody in Imizawa. Maybe he's been calling Sadako every night, keeps ringing but nobody picks up. Then he assumed Sadako might be taking a bath or be in the restroom. He put on a puzzled smile while mumbling, like always. I imitated his voice without realizing it.
それで何？何？どうしたの？今シオン何か言わなかった？
I left it off and urged Mion to continue. He realized then that her tone had changed. I hadn't been listening to her because I was thinking about Satoshi-kun. I thought she was still happily talking about Kei-chan. But Mion sounded grim now. Her faint smile looked pitiful. It was too late to ask what was going on. So instead I concentrated on her story instead.
でね、おじさんが今日は盛り上げてくれてありがとうって言って、売り物のお人形をみんなに一個ずつ配ったの。
Yep, alright, we're going into the events of chapter 2. Okay, yeah.
私以外の全員に。お姉以外の全員にね。そりゃあ私も欲しかったけどさ。
I'm very surprised because I really did not think we would go into the events of chapter 2 in this chapter. I thought it was just going to be Satoshi, but I guess I was wrong.
みんなの手前、私にもちょうだいとは言い出せなかったし。
But it does make sense since this is the answer arc, so.
相変わらずお姉は自分の欲しいものを欲しいと言えない人ですね。それで
Mion sniffled. He realized then that she was on the verge of tears.
ケイちゃんの袋にはね、一番可愛いお人形が入ってて、 そのお人形が一番欲しかったってわけ？別に何のお人形だってよかったんだよ。ケイちゃんは私だけもらってないって知ってたのに私にくれなかった。ミオンには似合わないよなって言って、次に生まれてくるときは男に生まれてこい言われたんだよ。
That was Keiichi's weak point. He might be fun and popular, but he wasn't mature. Not like Satoshi-kun.
やり直したい。ケイちゃんに出会った最初の頃からやり直して、今度はちゃんと女の子だと思ってもらえるようにやり直したい。おねえ、深刻すぎですって。お姉がやり直したいと思って、しかも向こうが何もトラブってない状態なら全然セーフじゃないですか。互いに傷つき合ってただれちゃうと、まあやり直しも面倒でしょうが。やり直せるかな。ケイちゃんの前で涙を流してないなら、そもそも何も手遅れじゃないんです。お姉がこの場で適当に涙して、明日から心を入れ替えていけば修正可能ですって。うん。そりゃケイちゃんのデリカシーのなさには呆れますけど、その結果は結局今日までのお姉の積み重ねてきた結果なわけですから。今日からの生活を少しずつ改めてポイントを稼ぎ直せばいいだけのことです。生活を改めるってどうやって？お姉に可愛らしくしろって言うと、明日からフリフリの格好で登校しかねませんからね。変に構えないで普段通りに行きましょう。でも細かい部分でこれまでの違いを見せていく。そこがさりげないポイント。あと人形をもらったレナという子には釘を刺しておくこと。現在のケイちゃんの中ではお姉よりもレナの方が高ポイントの可能性が高いです。確かにレナは女の子っぽいしな。可愛いし海外しいし。ライバルがいるならうかうかできませんよお姉。涙は男を引き寄せる力がありますけど、つなぎ止めておく力はありません。普段は笑っててポイントで泣く。萌えの典型パターンの一つかもです。私もケイちゃんに実践してみるかな。ダメだよ、ダメお姉が気に入る男の子ですからね。私が気に入らない道理はありませんから。さーて、ケイちゃんをどう引き込んでみせようかな。なんならお姉、どっちがケイちゃんの気を引けるか競争しましょうか。やだもう絶対やだ。シオン、ひなみ沢に来たら追い返す。
I'm happy for you, sis. It's not too late at all. It's important to know the distance between the boy you love and yourself and shift the way you appeal to him to compensate. The boy I love is missing, you know? I don't even know where he is or when he's coming back. Compared to that, you're very lucky. Mion was saying she'd do her best from tomorrow on with her red, tearful eyes, but I sense a deeply negative feeling emerging inside me. Nobody was blaming Mion for being happy with Keiichi. I wasn't envious. I wasn't jealous. I didn't want her to be blamed the same way I was blamed. It was just that there's no space for Satoshi-kun in Mion's mind anymore. Filled as it was with Kei-chan and her other friends now. It didn't matter to her if Satoshi-kun came back or not. Just like how she didn't care if it was sunny or rainy tomorrow. What about me then? Had I been thinking about Satoshi-kun all the time for the past year? I wasn't proud of my own answer. I'd become used to life without Satoshi-kun. His absence didn't hurt me anymore. I was getting used to life with Keiichi, and if I let my guard down, he might just fill up the space I've been saving for Satoshi-kun. If Shion Sonozaki had prayed harder for Satoshi-kun to return, he might have come home already. Where did Satoshi-kun go? Last year, right after his disappearance, I paid close attention to the information circulating the Sonozaki family and its underground connections. And I frequently went to the police station to check with Oshi for new information. Even with all of that, I couldn't get any new leads on his whereabouts. I eventually became interested in Oshiro-sama's curse, which surrounded Satoshi-kun's disappearance. I researched the dark history of the village. The more I looked into it, the less likely his survival seemed. I returned Mio-san's scrapbooks to her, and then I had gone to the library since. I started a new life in a new school. I met new friends, and in the same way as falling leaves cover the ground, I felt like I was losing sight of what was really important to me. It was already almost the end of spring. They said that summer was coming early and it'd be very hot this year. Normally it'd be the rainy season now, but we had no rain at all. The Wanakagashi festival was right around the corner. It'd been almost a year since Satoshi-kun went missing. In Himizawa, they don't allow you to talk openly about Oshiro-sama's curse with a series of mysterious deaths. So everybody acts like the murder of Satoshi-kun's aunt never happened. That's because Satoshi Hojo-kun was a member of the family of traders. He fell victim to Oshiro-sama's curse on the 4th year running. He was demoned away. Everybody was trying to forget about his existence and erase their memories of him. Don't make him disappear because of the curse. Don't erase his existence. Satoshi-kun was living in Himizawa just a year ago. He went to school. He was an A student. He was a member of the Himizawa Fighters. He could never hit the ball when it really mattered. He was unreliable but pure. He was warm. Because of the curse, people made him disappear. They stopped mentioning his name and acted like he never existed. A new resident like Keiichi wouldn't even know him. He seriously believed that Satoshi-kun had transferred out. I miss you, Satoshi-kun. I want to go shopping with you again. I want to be in the baseball game with you again and get a cold drink afterwards. I want to tease you and I want you to stroke my head again. Your hand was so warm. I felt as if my whole body was being caressed. Satoshi-kun. I haven't opened this notebook in a while. Feelings have been winnowed down for over 150 pages. This notebook is the key to my heart. The other me who's been sleeping since last year is slowly waking up. It's very interesting.
まったくケイイチさんのドスケベぶりには呆れましたよ。
It's very much interesting how Shion doesn't want to forget Satoshi. And it's like, that lines up with like the first 3 chapters of the game, since we heard tidbits about Satoshi. You know, first we ever heard of him, he transferred out, you know, quote unquote, and mysteriously disappeared. And you know, sometimes I would get kind of, you know, it's understandable where Shion's coming from. Of like, why are they forgetting this boy who was friends with them after only a year? And it's like, you know, she has some like merit to that. Of like, you know, trying to not forget about him, but you know, at the same time, people, there's nothing really can do besides move on. I mean, from everyone else's perspective, he disappeared, he demoned away, he whatever, you know, and people move on, but obviously, for obvious reasons, Shion can't move on from Satoshi.
男の子なら仕方がないのですよ。みーちゃんもしーちゃんもケイチくん困ってるよ。
ですってよ、お姉。大岡越前じゃあるまいし、このままケイちゃんが引きちぎれるまで引っ張りっこします。
Oh, it's this scene.
引っ張りっこなんかしてないよ。シオンが引っ張らなければ済むことでしょ。シオンは沖宮に帰れ。はい、了解。そうしますね。パッと。
Boom. I let go of Keiichi suddenly, so he and Sis flew off like a rubber band. Keiichi rolled on the ground while Sis was struck in the bush head first. What lively people.
じゃあケイちゃん、これ以上からかうとお姉に噛みつかれかねないので、今日はこれで帰りますね。
あ、シオン。そのさ、今日はありがとな。
ああ、あんなのお安いご用です。あの程度で恩が着せられるならいくらでもってくらいに。
じゃあまたな、シオン。
His hand landed on my head. Wub, wub, wub. He stroked my head pretty roughly, but the warmth reminded me.
じゃあすみませんね。今日は失礼します。またね、お姉。二度と来るなー。レナは紹介。サトコはトラ。リカちゃんは塩巻いて。
The warmth remained on the top of my head. It felt ticklish and sore. I had to stop. I got off my moped and pushed that aching spot against the telephone pole. I'm sorry, Satoshi-kun. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I never forgot about you. I still remember you. I'm worthless without you. I can't stand life without you because it's gray and cold and boring. It's true, it's true. I can never smile because you aren't here. I can't.
じゃあまたな、シオン。
Keiichi's face appeared in my mind. I recalled the touch of his hand stroking my head. It wasn't warm. I wasn't happy. It was rough and painful. I hate that insensitive guy. He's too childish, rude, and cold. He's like a stray dog. I wasn't happy. It wasn't warm. I was happy or overjoyed at all.
サトシ、サトシ。
Satoshi-kun mumbled. He didn't know what to say in a situation like this, but he knew that he had better say something. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say, so he just mumbled. I'm sorry, Shion. Why are you apologizing, Satoshi-kun? I'm the one who should apologize. Though I said I'd wait for you, even though I believed my heart wouldn't change, my heart is full of holes. You're leaking out from the small cracks in my heart little by little. You're leaking out from me. Are you suffering because I'm here? Why? You're so precious to me. So don't say that. I've been here with you all this time. But I think I'm hurting you by continuing to exist. I don't want that. That's not true. No, no, no. Where have you been, Satoshi-kun? You weren't with me. Tell me where you are. What's the address? What's the postal code? What's the name of the city? What's the street number? Tell me. There isn't an address. I knew it. Tell me you've always been with me, always by my side. That's such a cliche. Which do you prefer, Shion? If I can't give you strength, I'll stay by your side forever. But if you're suffering because of me, I'll disappear right away.
そんなこと言わないでよ。一緒がいい。一緒がいいよ。サトシ君といつまでも一緒がいい。
Okay. I'll stay with you then. The car passed by. The noise snapped me out of my reverie. The sky was turning orange. Should get home before it gets cold. Should go home to Okayama. You're with me, right? Are you with me right now, Satoshi-kun? I walked back to my moped. My feet sank into the grass. Crunch, crunch, crunch. I stopped when I reached my bike. But then I heard an extra footstep. Oh, fuck. I gasped. I could feel somebody else's presence. I'm not stupid. Nobody else was around me. Nobody had suddenly appeared behind me, so I wasn't surprised to find nobody when I turned around. But he was definitely still there. Oh boy.
サトシ君
I couldn't see him, but he was there. He was there for me. Satoshi-kun never lies. He said he'd be with me all the time. I've just been too insensitive to feel his existence until now.
サトシ君サトシ君
A breeze tickled my hair. It felt cold, but to me it was nothing but the warmth of his hand. It took me a while to notice that my cheeks were wet with tears. An extra footstep, son of a bitch. Alright. Before we continue on, I'm just going to say this. I feel like this actually does line up pretty well with my theory of Oshiro-sama's curse of being the extra footstep represents guilt. In this case, for Shion, it's her own guilt about not leaving Himizawa, but her guilt of trying to forget Satoshi and trying to replace him with Keiichi. This, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. I think it lines up with my theory pretty nicely. I think it makes a lot of sense. Just pure guilt over trying to forget Satoshi, try to let go of him because, well, everyone else has forgotten about him, in Shion's mind at least. Everyone else has forgotten. If she forgets, then there won't be any, evidence of his existence. She doesn't want to let go. And it's hurting her. It's hurting her, and she's obviously, she likes Keiichi, even though she doesn't want to admit it. She doesn't. She wants to just say, oh, no, it's not the same. The head pat isn't the damn same. Even though she kept saying it was warmth. She can't let go. She can't let go at all. I was too scared to sleep. If I went to sleep, I might not find Satoshi-kun there in the morning. So I kept talking to him until I passed out. I told him about what happened while he was missing. I told him that I realized how much I loved him after he went away. I searched for him, looked into various different things. I gathered underground information through Kasai and bargained for police information of Oshi, but I couldn't find any leads. A long time passed, but I kept thinking about him. Etc., etc. I told him all the small details from my daily life, the places I wanted to go with him, the things I wanted to do with him, the food I wanted to share with him, and I told him a lot of things. I was sitting up at first, but I got tired, so I lay down. I got tired of moving my mouth too, so I started talking to him in my mind. It was the happiest night I ever had. Poor girl. When I woke up, I didn't find Satoshi-kun by my side. I knew it somehow. I was afraid of it. That was why I didn't want to go to sleep. But at least I got to see him for one night. Just when I resigned myself to that. I felt Satoshi-kun's presence again. it wasn't a dream at all. After all, I thanked God. And so I began my strange life with Satoshi-kun. As promised, Satoshi-kun was always by my side. He couldn't laugh, mumble, or stroke my head, but he was always with me, always right by my side. He disappeared sometimes, but he'd come back when I looked for him. It seemed that all I could hear was his footsteps. It's just the way it was. It was a bit sad, but I was still satisfied. His presence was really faint, so it was hard to sense him in a crowd. But he never left me. If he were tangible, I'd be taking his hand all the time so that he wouldn't be lost. In contrast, I could feel him very strongly in a quiet environment. Of course, I couldn't tell what his expressions were because he was just a presence. But after I got used to it, I could tell what he was thinking. First, I could only tell if he was laughing or not. Eventually, I started to feel his emotions more strongly. I could have communicated with him normally. I was usually alone with him, though. I didn't want to go to school or hang out with my friends anymore. But Satoshi-kun got upset about that. He kept mumbling unhappily. Now that I knew he'd always be with me, I shouldn't just stay home all the time. I was sticking to my time alone with him, however, because I was scared that he might suddenly disappear again, and I wanted to make the most of the time I was sharing with him right now. I must have been worrying too excessively. Satoshi-kun will always be by my side. Yeah, that was his promise. He never breaks his promises. I was fine because he was there. Of course I couldn't tell anybody about him, not even Sis. I could try to explain it to them, but they never understand. But I was certain that he was with me, so I'd be alright. I never got fed up with life with him. He's really cute, you know. We always walk together, but when I saw him, he always walks one extra step. It's so adorable, I love it. This is what we call a mental blank.
シオンさんはどうなさいますか？今夜の綿流しのお祭りは。
行って適当に遊ぶつもりです。お姉とその愉快な仲間たちでもからかうかな。
I wanted to go to the festival with Satoshi-kun. I knew he liked to see me having fun with everybody. He might get jealous if I played with Keiichi. But Satoshi-kun isn't very sensitive in that way. Satoshi-kun loved to see me and my friends have fun. So I should have a lot of fun for his sake. Then I talk about the day with him later.
何でひなみ沢に行きますか？車で行くならお送りしますよ。
スクーターで行くからいいや。
それはいけません。帰りに本家に寄られて親類の宴会に加わられるんでしょ？居眠り運転などさせられません。
He won't let me drive, but he's kind enough to let me drink.
じゃ、お世話になりますかね。
わかりました。では夕方に出発しましょう。そのくらいの頃にお迎えに参ります。
After Kasai left, I sensed that Satoshi-kun was excited about going to the festival.
綿流しか。サトシ君がいなくなっちゃってから、もうすぐ1年になるんだね。
Satoshi-kun seemed confused.
ムー。でしょ
We left together. Also, you could construe this presence of Satoshi as less of a manifestation of guilt and more of a coping mechanism, which is very much what it is, you know, for Shion to cope, at least for a little bit, of what she sees as herself as a failure for not trying to find Satoshi and possibly forgetting about him.
はいよ、網とお椀。
よし、やるぞ。金魚はみんな生きがいいね。実に美味しそう。この小さいのなんか そのままボリボリと生でいけちゃうよね。
Huh?
ミオンさんは何を言ってるんでございますの？
Oh, yeah.
みーちゃん、食べてたの？
Oh, yeah. Wow, this is actually straight up a scene from chapter 2. Can't remember about the first one. I can kind of remember the second one, but this one I definitely remember.
去年レナからもらったのも食べちゃったの？
違う。私そんなこと言ってない。
Sis shook her head hard. She turned all red.
いやでも今ミオンお前自分で言ったぞ。実に美味しそうだって。
確かに言いました。お姉って雑食ですから、口に入れば何でも食べちゃうんです。
美味しいなら今度僕も試してみるのです。ダメだよリカちゃん、お腹壊しちゃうよ。
ちょっと待て。おいこら、お前いつの間にいるんだよシオン。
はーい、ケイちゃんにお姉にみんなこんばんは。あんたどこから湧いてきたのシオン。焼きそば屋さんの時からずっとです。お姉たちは騒がしいからすぐに見つけられました。もうあんたは関係ないでしょ。早くどっかへ消えなさいよ。もうお姉もあまり私を邪険にしないでくださいね。ケイちゃん、私が一緒でもいいですよね。
I took Kei-chan's arm and held it between my breasts. Oh yeah, this fucking scene. We were going to have a ball. I went around the booths with Sis and her friends, joked around and laughed out loud. I teased Kei-chan and Sis too. Kei-chan was at the center of the group, so if I did something to him, it naturally involved everybody else. It looks like Satoshi-kun was having a hard time finding his own spot in the crowd. When I glanced at him in a quiet moment, he smiled and told me to have fun without worrying about him. If he were tangible, I'd pull his arm to join the crowd. It made me sad that I couldn't do that. I bumped into somebody's shoulder. It's obviously my fault, so I apologized right away. As it turned out, it was somebody I knew.
あら、楽しんでるみたいね。こんばんは、シオンちゃん。月の綺麗な晩ね。あれ、すごいお久しぶりですね、高野さん。それから。
そうだね。挨拶をするのはこれが初めてだね。僕は富武。ミオンちゃんの双子の妹さんだって話は聞いてるよ。
よろしくです、富武さん。凄腕のカメラマンとのお噂だとか。ぜひ今度私も映してくださいね。
デビューを夢見て投稿を繰り返す素人だけどね。
そんなことないわよ。二郎さんは上手よ。いろいろとね。
いやいや、まだまだ勉強が足りないよ。才能に恵まれない分を努力で補わないとね。
They must have been in a relationship.
高野さんと富武さん、仲がよろしいようで。私はお邪魔ですかね。あらあら。ご検察痛み入るけど、お気遣いは結構よ。それに高野なんて、なんだか他人行儀みたいな呼び方ね。昔みたいにミヨって呼んでくれていいのに。 やっぱり目上の人にファーストネーム呼びつけはちょっと気になるものでして。まあ気にしないでください。
I smiled bashfully, and Takano-san smiled back elegantly.
あれから図書館には来ないのね。研究の同志としてもっともっといろいろお話ししたかったのに。
まあ気が向いたらそのうちってことで。
研究の同志ってまさかシオンちゃんも興味があるのかい？この村の昔話とかに。
Tomiki-san raised his eyebrows. As far as I knew, Takano-san's hobby wasn't exactly normal. Surface, he research dealt with the cultural history of ancient Himizawa, but his main focus was the Wanakagashi festival from ancient times. A cannibal banquet in which they captured and gutted a living sacrifice. The research covered various stories surrounding that and other legends of cruelty. It was nothing if not gory. That was where her main interests lie. So I didn't feel comfortable being called a fellow researcher, to be honest. But objectively speaking, her research notes were fun to read. It was then I heard the loud booms. The taco jumps. Taco? Is that how you say it? Taco? Probably not. The main event of the Wanakagashi festival, the dedication dance, was about to start. According to Takano-san's hypothesis, the part of the dance where the shrine maiden tears open a futon mat represents getting a living victim.
いよいよ始まりますね。そろそろ私も行くかな。高野さんたちも見に行くんですよね、リカちゃまの儀式。
Yeah, we're not going to go into the storehouse or nothing. Nope. Tamaki-san looked bewildered. Did that mean he wasn't coming? Takano-san giggled and whispered in my ear.
実はね、これから西宮殿の中に入ってみようと思うの。
Bingo bongo.
Eh?
She made it sound like she was going to do something fun, but it wouldn't be amusing to anyone who knew what the ritual storehouse was. The ritual storehouse, or the storehouse for ritual implements, is sort of a treasure house belonging to the Furude shrine. I heard that Oshiro-sama's sacred treasures were stored in there. Only people from the Furude family and selected members of the other two free families are allowed to enter. They believe that if other people enter, the place will be desecrated. Everybody in Himizawa must have been curious about what was in there when they were kids. But the storehouse wasn't always tightly locked. You couldn't just peek into it either. Kids would get chided if they played around it, so they learned to stay away. I didn't like being around it myself since I was familiar with all that. Even though I didn't believe in curses, I still didn't want to be near it. Nothing good can come from breaking the rules. Also, I'm just remembering now. You guys remember that knocking sound that was heard in that ritual storehouse and that was never brought up again? Like, at all? I think my fear at the time was that someone's walked up in there. And well, I'm still gonna believe in that. I had completely forgotten about that until like right now, because it was at the time it was such like a mysterious, like, what the hell, where's this knocking sound coming from? But like after chapter 2, hell, I think even after like there's like 2 conversations about it, and after that, not a single mention of it ever since. So, you know, that means it's gotta be important if it's only mentioned twice. Are they still going to enter the ritual storehouse despite all that?
でも確かものすごい厳重な鍵がかかってたと思いましたよ。
去年まではね。前の缶抜きじゃ重すぎて大変だとリカちゃんが言ったらしいの。それで今年からものすごく安っぽい南京錠に変わったの。知ってた？
いえ、知りません。でも安っぽいと言ったって錠前がかかってますよ。
次郎さんね、とても器用なの。
開けられるんですか？
綿流しの儀式が始まれば 全員が儀式に集まるでしょ。西宮殿の周りには人影は全くなくなる。今夜が一番の死角なの。東大元暮らしとでも言うのかしらね。
According to our hypothesis, the ancient tools used for human dissection and torture would be found in the ritual storehouse.
よかったら後でこっそりいらっしゃいな。二度とないチャンスよ。じゃあよかったら後でね。
高野さん、何の内緒話だい？
女同士の内緒話よ。行きましょう。暗くて人気のないところへ相引きに。
ん
Why am I seriously in a relationship with you, Takano? Takano-san walked against the flow of the crowd alongside Tomaki-san. The ritual storehouse, huh? It was supposedly filled with torture tools. Considering what they had in the underground torture room at the Sonozaki house, that's quite possible. Satoshi-kun fell victim to the curse in the 4 feet. What is Satoshi-kun's in the fucking storehouse? You know what? Huh. I have no evidence for that, but like, if I was writing this story, I would put Satoshi-kun in the fucking storehouse. That's where I put him. I don't know. I have no evidence for that, but like, maybe. It's quite possible. Satoshi-kun fell victim to the curse in the 4th year. His aunt's death was the sign of Oshiro-sama's curse. Satoshi-kun was the sacrifice to pacify Oshiro-sama's anger. That was what Takana said last year. It was just hypothesis. At present, I wanted to deny hypothesis because I wanted to believe that Satoshi-kun was still alive. If her hypothesis was correct, either some religious fanatic or somebody from the three families must be imitating the curse in order to relive the ancient custom of Ongafuchi. That would mean it was them who killed Satoshi-kun. So what if the ritual storehouse was filled with garbage instead of tortured implements? Maybe it was filled with broken palanquins or freshly painted signboards for the festival. What then? It wasn't really hard for me to believe that it was filled with the chemical smell of paint. Maybe I'll get to deny the hypothesis that Satoshi-kun was sacrificed by seeing the inside of the ritual storehouse for myself. Whatever was in there didn't mean that Satoshi-kun would come back.
Satoshi-kun, どうしよう。
Since most people went to see Wikachama's ritual dance, the festival grounds were deadly quiet. Ugh. Even so, I couldn't sense Satoshi-kun. Did he go somewhere, or was I not paying enough attention? Maybe he wasn't feeling any emotions in particular. After thinking for a while, I decided to go in with them. It had been almost a year since Satoshi-kun's disappearance. I'd been avoiding the truth because I was afraid he might be dead. But now I had a chance. I had a chance to see the inside of the ritual storehouse. I felt as though something divine had arranged that coincidence. On my way to the storehouse, I noticed Keiichi, who was jumping up and down to try to see Wikachama's dedication dance over people's shoulders. If I took him along, we could split the guilt. Oshiro-sama might put a curse on me for entering his divine storehouse. I wanted a partner in crime. Since the boy I loved disappeared last year because of the curse, maybe Mion's love should disappear this year. Oh.
何考えてんだ私。
Dark thoughts. That must have been the demon inside of me that shook the thought of my head.
どうしたんだよ、シオン。それより奉納演舞がよく見えるとこってまだ遠いのか？
え？奉納演舞がよく見えるなんて誰が言いました？
We made it to the ritual storehouse. Keiichi was baffled by the whole situation. Our timing had been perfect. Could see Tomoki-san picking the lock. And then we went through all that. See episode parts blah 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 through blah blah blah. Even though Keiichi must have been curious, he insisted that we shouldn't go in. But I talked him into it anyway. He was quick to change his mind when Tomoki-san joined in. It was completely dark inside, so Takano-san lit a badly powered lantern. A small entry space appeared before us.
真っ暗だね。みんな転ばないように気をつけるんだよ。
ご心配ありがとう。
I really like how we're viewing the same events, but from a different perspective. With, like, we know what's going on in Shion's head right now. And right now, she's coping. You know, it's fine to cope. But, you know, still got those little dark thoughts. And I think this chapter is going to confirm my theory on the whole Shion was the demon Mion in chapter 2. I'm very certain on that. So, you know, we're seeing the downfall, and there's not a goddamn thing we can do about it.
じゃあ門番をよろしくね。ここ閉めるわよ。
Takano-san closed the door with a smile, as if leaving Tomoki-san out on purpose.
やれやれ。じゃあみんなゆっくり楽しんでおいで。
As soon as the heavy door was closed, we were surrounded by a quiet darkness. All we could rely on was Takano-san's lantern.
大丈夫よ。予備電池も入ってるアウトドア仕様なんだから。消えたりなんかしないわよ。
Takano-san teased Keiichi a little. Keiichi in turn looked a little pale. He seemed to be able to recognize the sanctity of the building even though he wasn't from Himizawa.
さあ、入りましょう。よいしょっと。
After Takano-san opened the heavy inner door, a dusty foul smell flowed out. It was like the smell of a pantry that hadn't been opened in years and the smell of a fish market mixed together. Didn't know exactly how to describe it, but it was a bad smell. From listening to the echo of our footsteps, I could tell that this room was much bigger than the one we were just in. When Takano-san raised her lantern, I could clearly see just how big it was. At the far side of the wall, there's a statue of some kind of god staring down at us intruders. The way it was lit by the lantern gave it a powerful appearance, and it scared me.
あれがひなみ沢の守り神。
And here's the torture. I looked up at the statue which was holding its religious ornaments. If Satoshi-kun's disappearance really was a curse, I couldn't forgive this god. I found myself irritated by the way the statue looked down at me. Damn you, Oshiro-sama. If you really made Satoshi-kun disappear, I'll never forgive you. Never. Keiichi didn't seem to understand the significance of the storehouse. He looked bored. Takano-san noticed that and took out her scrapbooks to show him the brutal history of ancient Himizawa. I heard that story already, so I decided to walk around by myself. Since I knew the significance of all these tools, I felt a little nauseated. Though they certainly wouldn't jump out to me, I still found them intimidating. They looked as if they were craving for fresh blood after not having been used in hundreds of years. All of the tools looked similar to the ones I saw in the underground torture room at the Sonozaki main house. If those tools were the progenitors of torture implements, these would be their ancestors. All of the implements here looked old. I doubted they could really be used. They weren't kept maintained like the ones at the Sonozaki house. So did that mean they shouldn't scare me? No, on the contrary. They told me that the cool rituals were indeed performed in this village at one point. Now that I found scary. What Takano-san told me was the truth. When I stopped, Satoshi-kun also stopped behind me one step later. I felt no emotional change in Satoshi-kun. Couldn't tell if he was feeling something or not. I knew he was there, but I had no idea how he was feeling. I felt scared of him for the first time. If he could answer me, I'd want to ask him, who demoned you away?
ね、サトシ君。聞いてる？
I couldn't tell if he heard me or not. He left, as if he didn't hear anything. I could tell that he'd been sulky ever since we got here. I suddenly felt lonely, so I looked for him while walking around. I realized then that there was an altar in front of the statue. He might be there. It was a queen altar, an altar ornamented with religious artifacts. It was kept well maintained. I saw no dust. That would mean, well, the flowers in the vase weren't wilting. Saw a pretty handkerchief under the vase. It looked out of place amongst everything else. I was fairly certain it was Rika Furude's handkerchief. That would mean that this storehouse is maintained daily. It wasn't a forgotten ruin buried in dust, so the brutality that dwelled in this ritual storehouse is still alive and well in Himizawa. That's right. Something as ambiguous as Oshiro-sama's curse is nothing more than a simple delusion of the villagers. As Takano-san said, everything that happens in this world is done by humans. I accused Oshiro-sama of demoning away Satoshi-kun, but Oshiro-sama is just a statue made of bronze or wood. It's nothing but an icon. There are, however, human beings who would try to make that icon seem real. The series of mysterious deaths in Himizawa as the result of human action. It shouldn't be called Oshiro-sama's curse. Satoshi-kun was the 4th year's victim. Then he was victimized by a human being who was just acting the part of a curse. The person who demoned away Satoshi-kun must not be very far from me. The truth behind Satoshi-kun's disappearance was not so far from my grasp. Thump. I was startled by the sound. It sounded like somebody had dropped something. Looked over at Takano-san and Keiichi. Takano-san was still lecturing him. Did she drop her scrapbook or something? The sound came from right behind me, not from them. I never heard Satoshi-kun do that. It sounded like somebody was stomping on the floor in frustration. But what is it? The sound continued, ignoring my question. Though I heard it right nearby, it sounded as though a child was hopping on a wooden floor somewhere distant.
どうしたの？サトシ君。何か怒ってるの？
I couldn't read his expressions. I thought he was mad, but I didn't sense any emotion from him at all. Was he mad that I touched the altar? Maybe you weren't supposed to do that. It's not that I had been able to communicate with Satoshi-kun in a concrete way. I just talked to him. I was never expecting him to react like that. I didn't sense a willingness to communicate from this creepy sound. Then a chill ran up my spine. I felt as if all my pores were opening. I've been thinking that it was Satoshi-kun stomping on the floor. Hey, you. You're Satoshi-kun, aren't you? The sound stopped. When I asked that, it wasn't a yes or no, just silence. Satoshi-kun wouldn't scare me like that. It always sounded like that the sound hadn't come from Satoshi-kun. A cold shiver shot through my feet and I sprung a step backward. The sound had come from right there. Even though I jumped back, it was still just a few meters away. Satoshi-kun would sometimes let me hear his footsteps when I walked. But if that wasn't Satoshi-kun, then there's no guarantee I heard its footsteps. So that invisible being could already be right in front of my eyes. And I just wouldn't see it. Forgot everything and ran, showing my ears as much as possible for any sound, listening for any footsteps pursuing me, and ran right into Keiichi and clung to him, timidly turning back to look. Dimly wood area before the altar was quiet, like nothing was happening. But seeing that chilling dark stillness, realizing I was just in that space, made me even more frightened now.
どうしたよ、シオン。ひょっとして怖くなった？
Keiichi made fun of me. Even though he looked horrified just a little while ago, he now looked satisfied to see me scared too.
お化け屋敷で女の子がしがみついてくるのはデフォじゃないですか。まんざらでもないくせに。ほらほら、行きましょう。高野さんに置いてかれます。
I pretended to be fine, but I wasn't sure if I was able to hide my fear entirely. The footsteps were chasing me. They were outside the illumination of the lantern as if they couldn't go into the light. The person never left us, however. It followed us like a fourth member of the party. Sometimes it made a stomping sound as if wanting some recognition, but neither Takano-san nor Keiichi seemed to notice it. It was possible for Takano-san to be ignoring it, but Keiichi would never ignore it. If he could hear it, he would have said something. So just like with Satoshi-kun, only I could hear it. What was this thing that was making me so scared? Was it Satoshi-kun in a bad mood? Or was it possible that the presence I believed to be Satoshi-kun might not have been him at all? Shit. What are you upset about, Satoshi-kun? Tell me if I did something wrong, I'll apologize. If you aren't Satoshi-kun, then where did he go? When did you take his place? But what a dick warning, jeez.
大丈夫か？
はい。全然平気ですよ。それよりケイちゃんこそ顔面蒼白でかなりヤバげかと。
なら、あまり俺の服を引っ張りすぎないでくれると嬉しいんだけどな。
あ、こりゃ失礼です。
あらあら、私はお邪魔かしら？
I decided to engage in the conversation to help myself ignore the sound from behind. Didn't hear the sound as much, and it became a bit more distant. Yeah, I shouldn't pay attention to it. It wouldn't bother me if I didn't hear it. I should just ignore the noise.
で、高野さんはその風習が実は現代にも残っているんじゃないかと思って研究をしてるんです。そうでしたよね。
Jesus.
これ本当に内緒なんだからね。シオンちゃんは理解のある人だから話したけど、他の村人には聞かれたくないの。下手をしたら罰当たり者ってことで袋叩きにされかねないんだから。
She smiled at me like a witch.
前原くんも内緒にしてね。知られたら私、お社様のたたりに会うか生贄にされちゃうかするかもしれない。たたりなら今年はどんな死に方をさせられちゃうのかしら。生贄なら鬼ヶ淵の沼に生きたまま沈められちゃうのかしら。そういえば今夜よね。お社様のたたりがある夜は。
It certainly is. If the curse strikes for a fifth time, it'll happen tonight. Takano-san pulled out an old scrapbook from her paper bag and started turning the pages. I know for a fact, as Keiichi, we did not hear the thumps that many times. I think we only heard like twice, I think. She opened it to the page with that one article. It was the article about the brutal murder of a Higurashi victim. Happened in the Meiji era.
これは実際にあったお話よ。明治の終わり頃にね。鬼ヶ淵村で身元不明の惨殺死体が発見されたんですって。
Oh, Jesus.
かくも無残かつ残虐非道を。
Hey, you guys seriously don't hear that? It's freaking loud. How can you not hear it? Ah, hell, it's freaking noisy. Cut it out already. In the next moment, we all heard a squeaky noise. Turned around in surprise. Tomiki, yeah. It was just Tomiki-san opening the door.
驚かせちゃったかな。
あら、二郎さんも見たくて我慢できなくなったかしら。ここ、素敵な拷問道具の宝庫よ。
僕は遠慮させてもらうよ。生来ね、こういうのは苦手なんだ。
Takano-san laughed as if making fun of Tomiki-san for being such a scaredy cat.
それより、演舞とセレモニーが終わって、みんな沢の方に降りていったよ。あと何分もしないうちにお祭りは終わっちゃう。
Time was up. I never expected that Tomiki-san would save me from this nightmare. His face suddenly looked heroic.
うん。ケイチ君も出るかい？
もう十分に見ましたので。シオン、もういいだろ。出ようぜ。綺麗な空気が吸いたいよ。
同感です。出ましょう。
We went to the entry room and turned around. Takano-san was taking photos in a mad rush through our time was up. I didn't hear that sound anymore. Didn't feel that presence. Didn't feel Satoshi-kun either. But somehow I wasn't too sad about that. Even if he followed me out here, I wouldn't be able to tell if it was really him or somebody else. Game really wants to convince me it's fucking like Oshiro-sama, but I'm not convinced, damn it. It's human. It's fucking humans, I'm telling you. Is it a manifestation of guilt and also works as a coping mechanism? Could be. Still don't know about that fucking bumping sound. Which, I mean, don't we... Both Keiichi and Shion heard it. Takano never mentioned it. I feel like that thumping sound is the real reason why Takano went into that ritual storehouse. Well, no, she never left Keiichi's side though. That's the problem. I don't know. Maybe maybe they came back on a different day. Or maybe she picked something up. Well, and that's why both Tomiki and Takano got murdered. But yeah, once again, I find it very cool that we are seeing the events of Chapter 2, but from Shion's perspective. I honestly, I like that type of, like, storytelling, of, like, seeing the same events, but from a different perspective. Perfect example, in my opinion, would be, like, Half-Life's expansion packs, like, Opposing Force and Blue Shift. Definitely more Opposing Force, as, you know, seeing the same events, but, like, through a different person's perspective. I always do dig that. And now we have this presence of Satoshi, which I'm just going to construe as a coping mechanism for Shion. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this type of content. Hit that subscribe button if you liked it. Hit the like button on Thomason. Put it down in the comments below. Check out Discord server I hang out in, or my Twitter. Check the description below. And yeah, it's been Voidlego. I'll see you guys next time. See ya!